No matter what, people will commit to misunderstanding you. What's most important is your commitment to understanding yourself. Hello, you guys. My name is Nkirk Madani, known as NK, and welcome back to Misunderstood. Happy New Year. Happy 2026. We are in a brand new year, and there's so many really strong feelings I have towards that, and they're all pretty positive. I do believe that this year is going to be an incredible year. I've always said that when there's a year that wasn't so great, the very next year following is a significantly better year. 2025 wasn't a bad year, but I was kicked down a few times, and I know collectively everyone's saying that 2025 wasn't the best year ever. We have a clean slate. It is 2026, and I'm very, very excited to take you guys into another year. Happy year 2 of this podcast. We are officially 1 full year in, and I'm so happy that we have this platform. Misunderstood has changed my life in a lot of ways, and I'm really happy to know that a lot of you guys have been really positively impacted by this podcast in the last year. Today, we are talking about your 2026 rebrand. Your comeback is personal. This topic makes complete sense as this is the very first episode of 2026. I really want to take you guys through a New Year series, specifically in January, giving you guys a lot of uplifting and extremely positive episodes, really surrounding self-improvement, self-development. If you've been here for a while, you know that we have range here on Misunderstood. We talk about everything. I think I've touched on every single facet of life so far in the last year of this podcast, but I thought let's bring it back to where it all began and talk about self-improvement for this very first episode of the new year. So, like I said, we're talking about our rebrand because your comeback is personal. But before we get started, take some time right now to rate Misunderstood, this podcast, 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. This podcast has done numbers, and it's been a really impactful way for me to share more about me, but also connect with so many people. And I think that's the most exciting part of it all. If you enjoy this podcast, if you've listened to even one episode, I would love for you to take some time right now to leave a 5-star rating and a review of Misunderstood on both Apple and Spotify. Thank you so much. All right. So as I said, we are talking about our 2026 rebrand. Let's deconstruct the word rebrand for a hot second, because I know there is a misunderstanding about this word. So we're going to get ahead of it. When I say a rebrand, I am talking about improving myself, improving my life to some degree. A lot of people like to think that a rebrand needs to be this whole overhaul that you do all at once, and that is not sustainable and that's not realistic. So let's just get that mentality out of here. We are not talking about that in this episode. All right. Today, we are talking about the stages of a rebrand and things that you do over time, stack them over time to actually see a lasting improvement in your life. You don't want to do something and then end up quitting it because it doesn't really align with you and you don't really like doing it. You're doing it because you think you have to. No, your rebrand is personal. Your comeback is personal. And when I say comeback, I'm saying last year we were kicked down a few times. I know I was. This year it's personal. I'm coming back, and I'm coming back stronger than ever for these reasons that we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about 5 items for any super pivotal rebrand. Okay. These are 5 items that I would say should be on every single person's rebrand. And of course, take what serves you, leave what doesn't. I also want to say right off top that it's important to remember that with each new year, you should be growing, you should be evolving, and you should be changing. A lot of people don't want to change, and a lot of people want to stay the same. And if that's you, you should definitely click off of this episode, because if you want to improve yourself, you'll stay. And if you don't want to improve your life, this episode is absolutely not for you. Let me just say that right now. Let me say it up top so there's no confusion. This podcast, and specifically this episode, is for self-improvement, and it is to become the best version of yourself. That is the highest mission statement of Misunderstood. It's something that has made me be the best version of myself, and I'm continuously leveling up in my life every single year. And there is quite literally so much concrete proof to show that I have. And this podcast is one of the elements that have really made my life so fruitful. And I'm just happy that I get to share this part of myself with you guys. So let's get into the 5 steps of your 2026 rebrand. Feel free to take notes. I personally love taking notes when I listen to podcasts or things that are very informational. So feel free to pause it, take notes, come back to it, binge it, listen to it as many times as you want, of course. Send it to a friend. Let's begin. I'm looking down at my notes if you're watching on video. Number 1, your 90-day plan plus weekly checkpoints. In our 90-day plan, we will have 12 checkpoints. Once a week, you can pick whatever day you want. One thing about me, I love a Monday. This podcast comes out on a Monday, and something about Monday makes me just feel really motivated. I know a lot of people don't love Mondays, but I've definitely reframed my feelings around Monday, and I'm actually way more focused and way more motivated on a Monday than any other day of the week. So I would do my weekly check-ins on a Monday, but you pick whatever day suits you. But make sure that it is the same day every single week. We want to build that consistency. Now, let's talk about our 90-day plan. So first, you are going to identify 3 identity-aligned goals. These goals are so specific. I'm going to share general goals, 3 general goals with you now. Not even what I am doing in my life, but these are 3 general goals that I know a lot of people have on their list of things they want to improve in their life. We'll go through that. But before I even go there, I want to reemphasize that your goals need to be specific to you. If these 3 things don't apply to you, great. You're going to find 3 that do, and then you're going to follow this step by step. 3 example goals could be 1, clear glowing skin, 2, build muscle/lose weight, and 3, get your dream job. All right. So like I said, these are 3 objective goals. They could be subjective if they apply to you, but these are just 3 goals that I know I hear a lot of people wanting to achieve in their life. So next, we are going to do weekly prompts to get us to those goals. So that is what our weekly checkpoints will be. Each week, we are going to answer literally these same 3 prompts. You can either say them out loud to yourself, you can write them down. That's my preferred method. I love writing things down and having a visual log of what's going on. Prompt number 1 is, what 3 actions move me closer to this goal? Prompt number 2 is, what can I batch to make this goal attainable? Number 3 is, what is the absolute minimum I can handle, even on a hard day? We're going to go back to the beginning and we're going to break down each of these. I'm going to literally take one of the objective goals I said, and we're going to actually detail what that would look like. For prompt number 1, what 3 actions move me closer to this goal? Let's take get your dream job as the goal we are focusing on for this one. So a few actions I would do to quite literally move me closer to getting my dream job. 1, update your resume or portfolio. I've mentioned the difference between this in a few episodes back, but essentially you would have a resume if you are in corporate, and you would have a portfolio if you are in more of a freelance independent contractor role. Me personally, I have had both. I've been in corporate and now I work for myself. So I have had both sides of the coin. Whenever I look into a new opportunity, I always take time to update my portfolio and make sure that it is still relevant to what I am trying to go for. A lot of people on the other side, the people who are actually reviewing your portfolio or your resume, they will know if you did not take the time to make this piece of work applicable to the job that you're actually going for. That will ding you in the end. You won't even get a call back, or you won't get an advancement in that role that you're going for because you did not take the time to be more intentional about this process. So updating your resume and portfolio is one very actionable step you can do to move closer to your goal. Another action you can do for this is cold calling and cold pitching yourself to any and all opportunities you might see on LinkedIn. If you hear them in passing, if you have anyone in your in real life community who might have a connection to the dream job that you want, you need to be utilizing all of these sources. So this means you are outsourcing, you are literally going beyond yourself and you're looking out and seeing what is available. Nothing is going to come to you by just sitting and doing nothing. This is tough love. I've had to say this to myself because there have been times where I've gotten a little lazy and a little complacent. I'll be honest, 2025, I was a little complacent, but 2026, again, we're making our comeback, which means we need to be front and center and we need to actually go out and reach for what we want because no one is going to hand anything to us. Never, ever rely on someone else giving you something. You have to be so willing and so ready to go get what you want with your dream job. Of course, your dream job is not going to fall into your lap. You have to actively go on LinkedIn. You have to actively go talk to people and network and figure out who actually has access to maybe what you want and who can help you go in the right direction. With LinkedIn, it's such a big resource. There's so much that you can find on there in terms of open job opportunities. And also you can connect with people in the job that you want and ask them for a coffee chat, ask them for maybe some resources, really be super intentional about it. It will go so far. I've literally done all these things. And that is why I'm saying this. I'm saying this off of real experience. I'm not just saying this to say it. Take my advice or not, but that is my opinion. All right. The third action I would take to getting my dream job is investing your time in developing new skills that actually can be applicable in the job you want. A lot of people who are on the other side, meaning the people who are hiring anybody, they are looking for people who stand out. You want to be able to stand out and you want to be able to have something a little different than the rest. So by you taking your own time, developing your own skills, and this could mean reading books related to the job, taking additional online courses that you're doing in your free time, those certifications and courses and trainings and books that you are getting knowledge from, all of this is so applicable to the job that you want. And again, this is not just for corporate life. This can also be so applicable to any freelance job. I quite literally learned Final Cut Pro on my own. It took a very long time, very, very big learning curve, but I learned it. And I know so many cool edits that a lot of brands actually ask me for specific edits, which I can charge more for because I know how to do something that a lot of people don't know how to do. When you take the time to be more intentional about the opportunities that you so desire, you're going to see the reward come in. You will. Don't even think that you won't because you absolutely will see that return on your efforts, but you have to be intentional about it. And yes, you have to take your own time and your own resources to put yourself out there, but I promise it'll be worth it. All right. So the next weekly prompt we're going to dive into is what can I batch to make this goal attainable? Again, we're going to use the same goal that we've been talking about. And if you don't know what batching means, it's essentially doing a little bit extra work all at once so that the rest of your week or the rest of your time frame is actually opened up to do other things. It is a lot more effective to batch because you are spending a very concentrated amount of time doing something honestly for your future self so that you don't have to do it later and you don't have to do it incrementally. I batch for so many things. I batch with meal prepping. I batch with creating content. I batch with scheduling out emails. You can batch literally anything. In terms of inching towards my dream job, what I would do is create a template and a spreadsheet for all of the jobs that you find. The batching part is sitting and creating the spreadsheet. It's going to take a few hours to make it a well-rounded spreadsheet, but once you have the spreadsheet, then you're essentially doing it on autopilot. Then every single new opportunity you get, you just plug it in. It'll be so much easier than doing it one by one. It's also then so organized and you feel so much better because you have a all-in-one resource you can go to and check off each job opportunity as you go, as you apply to them. It keeps you organized and it honestly keeps you really proactive and ahead of the game. Another thing I would batch is interview questions. This is something that a lot of people don't think of, but this will set you apart. When I was in corporate, I had to do a lot of interviews. I would say I'm a pretty good interviewer, and the only reason is because I actually practiced interviewing before I went into interviews. So I would say I'm pretty good at interviews now because of this. What I would do is spend 10 to 15 minutes batching interview questions. These are questions that you can honestly find online, very common interview questions that are pretty much asked in every every single interview. You can even take it a step further and get dressed up for the interview and literally simulate yourself in an interview. It will help you with your confidence in the interview as well. You can also take it one step further and record yourself answering these questions. You're then able to watch the footage back and just see how your mannerisms are, see how you're actually answering the questions while you're putting yourself on the spot. Interviews can be very, very daunting and very nerve-wracking. So by doing this prep work, you are already putting yourself so far ahead of probably most of the people who are also applying to this position, and you are that much more likely to get your dream job. And the third prompt is, what is the absolute minimum I can handle, even on a hard day? This one is really important because this one goes back to a very fundamental item we talk about here on Misunderstood, which is discipline over motivation. You are not going to be motivated every single day. Get that out of your head. It's just not how life works. However, your discipline will carry you through the hard days. When we talk about our absolute minimum, what is something that if everything turns to shit, what can I still do? Taking our same example of our same goal that we've been talking about, you can realistically look up one new opportunity. Just one. That is honestly no heavy lifting. That would take less than 5 minutes to look up one new opportunity. Even if everything is really, really, really stressful that day, you can still find time to look up one item for your spreadsheet, for your dream job. You can do that. Thinking about the absolute minimum is helpful because even when life gets hard, we are still incrementally inching forward, even when things are hard. That's the thing about goals. As long as we're still moving forward, we're still making progress. A lot of people forget about that. But it's important. It's everything. The most important part of this conversation is remembering that you can still inch forward even when life gets tough, even when the days are hard. We can still incrementally work towards our goals. So that is essentially the 90-day plan plus the weekly check-ins. So we would do this 12 times over. I highly recommend tracking this visually. The great thing about tracking something visually is that you can actually see how you've improved over time. It is so tangible. A lot of people don't track things visually, which is what leads people to think that they're not improving. If you track something visually, I can give you so many examples. This can even mean with your fitness goals. If you take a photo of yourself once a week for 12 weeks, which is 90 days, you will see physically, you will see your improvement. You will see how your body has changed over time. Absolutely. So keep that in mind, and I really hope that you guys implement this in your 2026 rebrand. Number 2 in our rebrand is create an environment that supports your growth. And I'm talking mental, physical, and digital. So when we think about growth, we have to understand that growth requires shedding. Growth requires you to unpack a lot of things mentally, physically, emotionally, but it also requires you to leave things behind so that you have space to grow. I want to start with mental environment. Your mental environment is your mindset. Mindset work is extremely important for anybody to actually see tangible growth. Back in 2021, when I honestly went through probably the biggest rebrand of my life so far, I really turned to how am I looking at life mentally and how am I actually approaching situations with my mindset. What I'm about to say doesn't work for everybody. I know that. But for the people who it does work for, this is what I can speak to. Working on positive affirmations by quite literally saying them out loud, hearing them over and over again, and also having them visually, either written out, either on a vision board. Practice I adopted a few years ago is creating Pinterest boards specifically for affirmations that I absolutely love that have honestly helped me change the way I think in a very positive way. And all of these boards are completely private. They're secret boards. No one can see them except for me. And I recommend everyone have at least one board on Pinterest that is completely secret and just yours. No one can see it. No one can access it. It's a space for you to completely undo yourself, undo your negative way of thinking. Here's the thing. I have this podcast and I would say I'm a pretty optimistic person. My friends would say that I'm a pretty optimistic person. However, there's a lot of silent battles that I don't talk about with many people just because there's some things I feel like I have to go through on my own. Most of those times, kid you not, I do turn to this particular Pinterest board. There's times where I just sit when I'm really sad and I sit on Pinterest and I am pinning affirmations for hours and it just makes me feel so much better. I'm a words of affirmation person. I think it's actually really important for you to also understand what your love language is. This is kind of an aside, but I think it's very much tied to positive affirmations. If you are just like me and your highest love language is positive affirmations, this will absolutely work for you. And even if that's not your highest love language, or if you don't think that positive affirmations work for you, I still recommend trying this activity. It helps so much to start to reframe the way you think. And it's your own personal uplifter. It's your own personal buddy. Quite literally consider Pinterest and specifically that board to be my secret weapon. It's something that I can turn to whenever I am feeling really down on myself, and it helps me recurate an environment that helps me grow and helps me feel better about myself. Because the only way I'm going to grow is if I feel better about myself. My mindset is honestly where I start. For your physical environment, a declutter is so essential. For the past few days, I've gone through my apartment and I have thrown away so much stuff. I've also deep cleaned, quite literally getting on my hands and knees, scrubbing, dusting, doing all the things that I honestly haven't done for months. I want to start this new year off so fresh, quite literally hit a factory reset in my environment. Because of that, I do actually feel so much clarity. Think about your closets. Think about any space in your physical apartment or home that you have not touched, because I know there is a place that you've not touched. Maybe it's a cabinet, maybe it's a drawer, maybe it's your vanity, somewhere that you know that you haven't touched for a long time. I want you to spend a day and declutter it, donate, sell, get rid of it. There are things that you're harboring that you simply don't need, you don't use. Let's make space for new things. Let's make positive space. For physical space, I also really wanted to touch on the importance of a micro clean. Realistically, we do not have time to do a deep Sunday reset clean every single week. I know I don't. It's just not realistic, but my micro cleans daily have made it so that I don't have to actually do a huge deep clean every week. I might do a deep clean every month, maybe, but my micro daily cleans really save me. And for me, a micro clean is less than 15 minutes. It's actually around 10 minutes. Vacuum, wipe down all the surfaces and make sure that they're disinfected. And I tidy up my space. I put things back where they are. I hang up my clothes. I fold my laundry. That is my micro clean. And yes, I have time myself. I can do that in 10 minutes. I have always been a person who cannot function in a space that is messy. If we were talking 2 weeks ago, my space was so messy that I started to freak out because I didn't know where anything was, which is very unlike me. I'm very organized. I know where everything is, but I definitely had a crash out and everything was in disarray and I shut down. So that very next day I said, all right, nothing's happening until we declutter, we clean, and we get back on track. And nothing feels better than being on track. Personally, your physical environment helps you so much to feel like you're in balance. And lastly, a digital environment cleanse. All three of them are important, but something about a digital environment cleanse for me is super important. I've talked to you guys extensively about a great unfollowing that has already happened. I kind of hinted in my last episode, which was the people, places, and things you're leaving in 2025. I did hint very heavily that a lot of people are going to be X'd out of 2026. It's very important to remove the people who aren't adding value in your life. And by them not adding value, they are also hindering your growth. You have to understand that those two things are working in tandem. You're not doing right by yourself by keeping people around that are secretly haters, who are unsupportive, and who are just weird. There are a lot of people who are moving weird, who have been moving weird, and you're out. You're out of here. It's not even a conversation. You're just out of here. Please take some time to do a digital decluttering early on in the year. The earlier, the better, honestly. Another digital practice to implement to really help with your growth is limiting your time on your phone in general. The first one is no phones for the first hour that you wake up. Unless you are a doctor or somebody who has a very high level job, unless you are one of them, if you can convince me that something is so urgent that you need to pick up your phone right upon waking up, you write in and you tell me. Let's have a conversation. But if you are not in that bucket, then no, actually, it can wait. We aren't supposed to be answering to everybody immediately. We gotta take some time for ourselves. The only way you're actually going to rebrand and level up and be the person who you want to be, and remember that comeback that we're making. Yeah, we're not making that comeback by doom scrolling the second we wake up, which delays our day, which also clutters our mind, and we might start getting anxious and stressed about what we're seeing. No, we wake up, we take back our power, we do the things that we need to do. We set our routines and we put our life in motion before we pick up our phone. That is in order. And lastly, for our digital environment change up is setting phone timers. I've mentioned this already. I've mentioned this on a ton of episodes of the pod, but setting phone timers keeps you on track. I set them for every little thing. Every little random thing that you can think of, I set a timer and it helps me pivot so quickly. I do something for 15 minutes and I do something for 30 and then I do something for 10 or I do something for an hour. I'm pivoting so that I'm touching multiple things and I'm actually way more effective doing that. When you think about it, a timer will show how ineffective you've been. I realize that I can get something done so much faster because I know I'm timing myself rather than being lackadaisical and honestly being a lot more slow when I don't have to be. There's some things that will require you to just chill out, but that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about the things that will move the needle forward and the things that will actually push us towards our goals, our benchmarks, and our milestones. We can't waste time. And setting phone timers quite literally help you not waste time. Try those out. Let me know if any of them work for you. Number 3 in our 2026 rebrand is movement is a priority. It should have never not been a priority, but it is quite literally a priority. Movement should be superseding so many other things in your life. The older I get, I'm literally 31, but the older I get, I realize how instrumental movement is for my brain function, for my overall mood, my energy, everything. Everything is tied to movement. We are human beings that need movement for a lot of things in our body. Our body fuels off of movement. And I've mentioned this already, but a lot of 2025, I was very stagnant due to an injury, and that really fucked with me. It really slowed me down physically, but also mentally. I believe that I was in the worst mood last year than many other years of my life. And it was because movement was quite literally at the bottom of my list. But 2026, I have my movement plan and I'm very looking forward to putting movement back in the forefront of my mind. So in terms of actual movement, we've heard the 10K steps, and I do believe that it is a great benchmark to try to hit. In 2025, I logged how many times I hit 10K steps. I started it in June, but I do still want to keep that going because that log made me really motivated to continue on trying to hit 10,000 steps, which I realized that 10,000 steps is quite a big feat. I actually have to go outside and move a few times a day to be able to hit 10,000 steps, but it is attainable. It's not impossible. I've done it a ton of times, but I want to integrate it into a routine this year that will really stick and make me feel really happy and motivated overall. It's very important to remember that the movement that works for you won't work for other people and vice versa. You might not like walking. That's okay. Then don't walk. But for the girls who like walking, I recommend doing a long walk 3 times a week. That is what I am striving for. At least in January, I am going to be doing a walk 3 times a week. Then I'm also going to be doing strength training twice a week. So I'm thinking Monday, Friday schedule. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're doing walking. Tuesday, Thursday, we are doing strength training. I'm really excited. I'm excited because movement truly does make me feel so much better about myself, and it gives me a lot of clarity. It honestly does make me happy, and there's obviously science that goes behind that. But if anybody has been struggling with their fitness journey and just with movement in general, please start small. I would say walking is probably the easiest exercise that you can do. So that's actually why I'm saying it in this episode. Start with walking, do a long walk, listen to your favorite playlists, listen to your podcasts. Obviously, you're listening to Misunderstood, but listen to things that really keep you motivated. I also want to say one of my favorite albums ever to listen to, specifically in winter, winter while I'm taking a long walk is SZA. SOS, long walk in the winter hits. I think it's the anthem of the winter, especially January winter. But anyways, do the movements that make you happy and that make you feel fulfilled. Not everything works for everybody. Be intentional about finding the movements that work for you. Make a plan, set into a routine. Your whole life is going to be better. I already know that. I can say that with certainty. Number 4 in our 2026 rebrand is what you look like determines how you feel. Let's unpack it. I've said this before. What you look like is the least interesting thing about you. And I didn't even say anything about that. I said what you look like determines how you feel. Those are interlinked. There's so many times where I have not been looking my best and then I also feel like shit. They are aligned. Vice versa. There's times where I know I look like a knockout and I feel incredible. So with that theory, this one involves the external practices that we can do to really put our best foot forward into this new year. I believe this is very important in the rebrand. A rebrand is holistic. We're talking inner work. We're talking outer work. We're talking everything. So with that said, let's talk about a few items that I believe will really help with your rebrand: body cleanse and detox. I mentioned this in a few episodes back, but we are doing dry Jan and we're happy about it because we don't need alcohol to have fun. Of course, I love having cocktails with my friends. However, I can take a month off and start this year off feeling very cleansed and very fresh. I would say that is an inner detox practice, but some things that are more outer cleanses and detoxes are a sauna. There are so many sauna rooms in New York City that I've been looking into that I really want to go to. There's one I saw that was a 20-minute sauna, and then you can do an ice bath. You can also do red light therapy. Red light therapy is really, really good for your skin. So I'm really enticed by that. Also, I booked a massage. So excited about that. Beginning of the year massage to really feel more aligned, but also I know that my back needs to be cracked. So I'm very, very excited for my massage. A few other appointments that I have done in the last week that really helps me feel good about starting this new year off on the right foot. I got a facial. I have just been on a journey with my skin. I've talked about this at length, so I'm not going to bore you with the nitty gritty, but I just got a facial. I hadn't gotten a facial in almost a year, which was a little long for me personally, but the facialist said that my skin looks great. We did a few tweaks. Let me just share a few things that she told me. So in case you don't have time or a facial is out of your budget, let me just give you some info straight from the facialist. Especially in the winter, you should be integrating hyaluronic acid into your skincare routine. If you didn't know, hyaluronic acid is specifically targeting hydration to put hydration back into your skin. Get some hyaluronic acid. There's so many brands that make ones that are really, really cheap. Look at the ingredients, make sure that it's a brand that you like and put that into your routine daily. And she was saying that you can't overdo it with hyaluronic acid, especially in the winter. I found that my skin was just so dry. So I reintegrated hyaluronic acid into my routine and it has definitely done wonders. She was also saying in your daily skincare routine, you really only need a few products. You need a daily cleanser, you need a good moisturizer, you need to exfoliate twice a week, you need vitamin C serum for brightening, and hyaluronic acid for hydration. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all you need for your skin. And I've been doing most of that already for the last 2 years. And honestly, I would say I have pretty great skin now. And I'm very, very thankful for that. But I put in the work, you guys. If you knew me 2 years ago, and if you're seeing me now, I have totally made a 180. And it's because I put in the work and I talked to the people who knew what they were doing and I invested in myself. Your rebrand requires you to invest in yourself because this is your life. It is your body. No one else is going to come and take care of you. You have to be willing to do the work. Other items I have done this week. I got my brows done. I get them done once a month. I got a pedicure. Honestly, just saying this on the pod, I have not gotten a pedicure in a long time. So I did the whole 9 yards. I got the callus treatment. I did everything and my feet look phenomenal now, if anyone was curious. And then I got a hair trim. Hair trims are super, super important for the health of your hair. I had a whole episode about hair health, episode 51, which is You Can Bounce Back, a chat about your personal appearance and body confidence. I talk all about all the things I've been doing to really improve my personal appearance and body confidence. And one of them was getting a hair trim quarterly. So I just got my quarterly hair trim. My hair is bouncing back and she is really improving, which that's all we can ask for. If you didn't know, the only way your hair is going to grow healthy is by getting a hair trim. So put that on your calendar, do it quarterly. Most people only need a quarterly hair trim to keep their hair growth on track. An item I threw on here is color analysis. I am looking into getting my color analysis very soon. So once I do get it, I will chat about that a little bit, either on the pod or on YouTube. But a color analysis will really help you feel super confident about your appearance. If you didn't know, a color analysis is essentially understanding what colors complement your skin tone the best. I feel like I know some of the colors that I love wearing, but I also know are very complementary to my skin. But I know that a lot of people have walked away from doing a color analysis very surprised with what the reading ended up being. So I really, really want to invest in that and get it. That helps with the longevity of your life as well. You will always know that certain colors look really, really great on your skin, and it'll help with buying clothes in the future. It'll help you with your overall confidence, of course. The last item I wanted to talk about in this segment is an outfit upgrade. You can say new year, new you, but I like to say, let's focus on the basics, because honestly, the basics take us through our day-to-day and they are our staples. It's quite literally your capsule wardrobe. And then you add on and you can get some fun pieces here and there for more special occasions or just for pops of color, adding personality. However, everyone needs a baseline capsule wardrobe. Everyone needs one. I'm actually just going to read off the items that every single person should have in their capsule wardrobe. This step also requires you to look into your current closet and understand what is fitting in your closet, what is not. If you need to update any item from this list, that's what you should be focusing on, because everyone needs one of these items just to have a very well-rounded basic closet. A good pair of dark wash jeans, a maxi skirt, a plain white tee, a plain black tee, a long sleeve in all neutral colors, a light long jacket, like a trench coat, a cropped jacket, a wool coat, a pair of sneakers, knee-high boots, short boots, a mini skirt, and a belt. I would say pretty much stick to neutrals for those. And then, like I said, you can add pops of color additionally to every single piece that I said, but having a neutral set of all of those is a baseline. It'll help you feel like you always have something to wear. That was my biggest gripe. I do have all of these things now, but when I didn't, I would always think that I was always missing something. And it's because these are the staple items that you can build any outfit from outside of this list. So focus on that list. Try things on that you currently have. You have to be honest with yourself. Does it fit you? Does it not? Do you need to get something tailored? I've gotten a few things tailored. I think tailoring is a very crucial part to really loving your wardrobe. I think a lot of people don't wear half of the things in their closet because they don't fit them right. Let's be honest. I've been there and I got rid of those things, or if I really loved it, I went and got it tailored so that they fit me right. Clothes are supposed to fit you. You're not supposed to fit the clothes. Making sure that you actually love the clothes that you're putting on your body, that will help you put your best foot forward in every instance in your life. And number 5 on our 2026 rebrand is you are your greatest project. This is an important piece of information to remember every single day. I think we all forget that we are the most important project in our life. We are the person who are taking care of ourselves every single day, and we spend the most time with ourselves than anyone will ever in our life. So it really is important to pour into ourselves. Your rebrand requires you to spend a lot of time with yourself. After a lot of analysis over the years, I've learned within myself, but I've also seen how a lot of people don't know themselves well enough because they haven't made the time to get comfortable with themselves. Your rebrand requires you to start being comfortable with yourself, because that comfort will ensure that your comeback actually happens. So I wanted to end off by talking about the ways that you can pour into yourself. Romanticizing your life. We know that we've heard this saying thrown around, but I myself am the queen and CEO of romanticizing my life. I do it quite literally every single day, and I make it my mission to make sure that my life feels warm and safe and whimsical and happy. And I feel like that's why my rebrands have always been so powerful and so successful. You can romanticize your life in big and small ways. So let's start small. For people who are unfamiliar with this topic and really want to try to break into how to do it from not doing it at all. Romanticize your morning routines. Make your favorite coffee in a beautiful glass. Drink a poppy in a wine glass. I do that almost every single day. Sleep with beautiful bedding on your bed. Wear fun and girly two-piece sets while you're out, but then also while you sleep, you can wear very cute sets to bed. Always light candles every single day. Light a candle or a few. Spray perfume every single day. No matter if you are just going to run an errand, spray perfume. Deck out your equipment. And when I say that, your phone, your laptop, your AirPods. I literally have a pink case on my AirPods, and I've had those for about a year now. And it's just such a small way to feel a lot more cutesy, a lot more girly, a lot more whimsical. When I get ready for anything, I am always listening to music in my room, and I'm always playing a very uplifting girl power artist like Sabrina Carpenter, Olivia Dean, SZA. I'm listening to things that make me really feel something, puts me in a great mood for whatever I'm going to do that day. These are just a few ways I romanticize my life. And like I said, these were the simple things. There are very extravagant ways I romanticize my life, but I thought, why not give you guys a very simple crash course into the everyday things that I have done and do very regularly that make me feel like my life is romanticized. It really helps uplift me and keep me very positive and happy. The next thing you're going to do is spend intentional solo time. Yes, this can be tied into romanticizing your life, but I wanted to have another subset category for intentional solo time. I am very, very big on solo time. I spend a lot of time solo, but because of that is why I am very myself. I know who I am, and no one's ever going to mess with that. It's because I've actively went out of my way to spend a lot of intentional time by myself, learn how I think, and I learn what I like, and I learn what makes me laugh, and just everything about me. I'm very in tune with myself, and you are only in tune with yourself when you spend time with yourself. I'm going to share some internal and external activities that I like to do. Internal literally means in my apartment by myself. External is things I do out in public. Some internal things are reading, scrapbooking, journaling, baking, painting, photography. These are all things that I have done in the comfort of my own home that makes me feel so happy. I get to flex a part of my creative muscle that really helps me continue to stay in tune with myself. External activities I've done to create intentional solo time, but these are also confidence building activities, especially when you're doing anything out in public by yourself. I would categorize that as you're building confidence within yourself to understand that you can spend time out in public by yourself and everything's gonna be fine. I recently actually went to the movies by myself. I've done that once before, but I haven't done it in a bit. Sometimes I get a little nervous about doing stuff like that because you're usually with other people. But first of all, you're in a quiet, dark movie theater. No one really knows that you're by yourself. So again, it's all mindset, but doing activities like that help me really gain confidence in myself. Another item I like to do on my own out in public is going out to eat, either going to dinner, going to lunch, going to happy hour by myself. I've done that a ton of times in New York and also in other places that I've traveled to. It is so enriching to be able to take yourself somewhere, sit, just enjoy your existence. And also you can strike up conversation with people around you, of course, because everyone is quite literally a value add in your life. We already know that, but it's really amazing to be able to sit and enjoy your own company. Either you're reading a book or you're just sitting and having a drink and people watching. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually so good for your self-development and your confidence as a person. The last item for confidence building that is very external is probably the biggest thing that I've done that is a intentional solo practice is going on solo trips. If you know me from YouTube, you already know because you've seen all my vlogs. I do solo trips. That is part of my brand. Because of that, I've actually gained a lot of community from people being very impressed that I can take myself out on an extensive trip and really enjoy my time by myself. But again, the only reason why I'm able to comfortably enjoy my time by myself is because I've put myself in these predicaments. In 2018, that was my very first solo trip. It was scary. It was hard. It was uncomfortable. We're not discounting those feelings. However, you keep on doing things. You put yourself out there, exposure therapy, like we talked about in a prior episode. You continuously do something and then you become numb to the feeling of fear. That is how you really see a breakthrough within yourself. I look forward to all the solo trips I take and I get so excited about planning them and actually going forth and taking myself to a new place, integrating myself into a new world. It has helped me be the woman I am, and I'm so grateful for that. All right, we have come to the end of our 2026 rebrand. I think it's really important for me to tell you guys the small actions are way more important than waiting for a big break. A lot of people think that you need to wait for this big thing to happen to give you permission to go do something. No, everything I detailed was very incremental. We take things in stages over here because the only way to actually make something last is to be intentional, do it over and over and over again. That repetition and the consistency and being intentional, that's quite literally the formula to a very successful 2026 rebrand. A rebrand is a slow burn. I think slow burn movies and slow burn instances in life are the best. You get to watch it unfold at a beautiful pace. Your life is yours. You need to make it a slow burn. There's no race. This is your life. No one can tell you the cadence in which you do something. As long as you're actually so intentional about what you want in your life, this rebrand will be child's play. You will actually be able to do this and do it very successfully. And we're at the beginning of the year. Please remember that. We are at the beginning of 2026. We have an entire year of excitement. I can't stop smiling because I can't wait. This year is going to be phenomenal. Your year is going to be incredible. And remember, your comeback is personal. So make it count. And with that, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Misunderstood. Remember to rate Misunderstood 5 stars on Apple and Spotify and follow it wherever you're listening. Join our Geneva group chat. It is always linked in the description of every single podcast episode. Hang out with me on my other socials, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest at nkmadani. And I will talk to you guys in my next one.